So one of the biggest questions that I've always gotten is how you actually can make money with AI. Everybody knows that this is a giant opportunity and trillions of dollars are going to be flowing into the AI industry for the foreseeable future. With that, how do you, as a beginner or someone who wants to profit from the revolution, actually get your share of the pie? In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys some of the easiest ways that you can get started with making money with AI. And of course, for some of the other niche methods that are newer and not that known, I'm going to leave that for another video because they're a little bit harder to explain. And for a beginner, they're a little bit more difficult and require a lot more skills. So let's not waste any time and dive into the first method. Now, the first method, of course, is going to be content creation. If you're not sure what content creation is, it's basically this video you're watching right now. Now, content creation, I personally think, is a very easy method of making money with AI because you don't actually have to do as much work as you do think. Whilst, yes, depending on the topic, you might have to do a lot of research, you might actually have to know a lot of knowledge about the topic, but creating content about AI is a lot easier because fundamentally the business somewhat builds itself. And I say somewhat because the content is the product in the sense that you don't actually need to build a product because the content gives you the money. Now, if you don't know what I mean by this, essentially, if you're making content on either TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram, one of the majority ways that people are making money with this is, of course, YouTube revenue. Now, this isn't my personal screenshot, but if you do make videos that do get a lot of views, hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views, you can make a substantial amount of money placing ads on your videos. Depending on the length of your video and the kind of topic that you do have, advertisers are going to be competing for spots on your video. And of course, with YouTube, you do have a scenario where I don't think that there are enough people actually creating content about AI. So it makes making money from AI relatively easier than many other niches. Now, not only can you make money from ad revenue on YouTube and on TikTok, you can also make money from sponsorships. One thing that you've clearly seen is that there are so many different AI companies right now coming out of the gate with amazing products and amazing offers. But the problem is a lot of these people actually are really intelligent and they are simply focusing on building their AI product, the AI model, or the AI startup. What they're not focusing on is actually getting customers. So what they'll do is they'll either find someone who has a relatively nice audience, whether it be large, whether it be niche, then they'll pay them to either mention their product or tell their subscribers or their audience to go and check it out. Now, this isn't just a thing where you can just pay someone to mention your product, because what tends to happen is that if someone mentions your product and it's not aligned with the audience, they're likely not going to work with you again. And what happens is if the product is actually bad, your audience then loses trust. So on the channel, I only really try to promote stuff that I really do like, which is why I don't have that many sponsored videos. But because of that, I can actually be more selective with my sponsors and they're likely to pay me more because I'm not sponsoring every single video. Now, it is dependent on what kind of audience you do have and how long you've been making content for. But sometimes, even when you're just starting out, you can easily make between $400 and $600, even if your post only gets 1,000 to 2,000 views. This is something that's called micro-influencing, and it shouldn't deter you from actually entering the game because you can start to make money a lot quicker than you do think. Now, when you do have a big audience on YouTube or on TikTok, it's important to note that some other opportunities can come from this. One of the opportunities that you can do is you can launch a community. Now, this is something that I did, but I only did this because I actually saw that there was a need for this kind of community. The community that I decided to launch was one called Post-AI Preparedness. This is a community that's focused on thriving in the post-AI economy and building your wealth with AI. One of the things that I saw absolutely nobody talking about in the AI space was the fact that AGI is going to be here within 3 to 5 years. When that happens, there's going to be a transformative shift in the economy for workers and for people who are investing in these companies. One of the things that you can utilize from being in this space very early on is making sure that your career is AI proof. And of course, making sure that your investments are aligned with the companies that are set to benefit from AI the most. That's why I made this community, so that those people interested in those topics could stay up to date with the most relevant areas and ensure they benefited most from AI without doing too much work. Now, currently, I only launched this community around 2 months ago, but it seems to be going really well. And what's good about this is that it actually allows you to have a recurring membership because sometimes ad revenue can fluctuate depending on the seasonality of AI. Now, if you don't want to be on camera and you don't want to use your voice, I know that some people just really don't like speaking on camera. And even as an introvert myself, it is something that I sometimes do struggle with. What you can do is more newsletter-based content. So for example, if you don't know what a newsletter is, this was something that I did have, but I just didn't lean into it as much because I just didn't have the infrastructure and I just didn't have the time between creating content and running my other channels to actually use a newsletter. And I didn't really want to spam people with stuff that I just didn't find valuable. What you can actually do is you can start a content creation newsletter. Now, for me, if I was a beginner, what I would be doing is I would be starting a content creation newsletter in a very specific use case. Right now, starting an AI newsletter, it's just too broad. That's the honest truth. I would say start a Midjourney newsletter, a ChatGPT newsletter, a Claude newsletter, or an AI automations newsletter. One of the things that you can do once markets are becoming somewhat saturated, and I still think that AI is not saturated at all, is that you can completely dominate a certain niche if you just stick to that really niche area. I don't know why I said it like that, but I was trying to get my words out. The point is that newsletters can become very valuable very quickly. If you have a newsletter of, let's say, 1,000 people or even 10,000 people, which isn't hard to do as long as you manage to provide value to the people in the newsletter, you can quickly build a subscription service from that, or you could once again do sponsorships through that. Compared on your annual revenue, what you could do is then sell that newsletter to another AI company and you could sell it for 5 to 10 times its annual revenue. So for example, let's say that newsletter managed to make $50,000 within a year. You could then sell it for a multiple of 10, and that's $500,000 right there. And you can easily see how quickly the money can be made once you manage to pick an area that you're passionate about. For me, I would pick an area that I already have expertise in or an area that I genuinely am curious in, because there is always the possibility that this might not work. And one thing that I wanted to do when starting this channel was to actually feed my curiosity. I was genuinely curious about how the technology would evolve and all of the research papers that I was looking into. That made making content a lot easier. And of course, when it came to working with certain companies, it made it really smooth. Now, another strange opportunity that I believe is here, but I don't think many people are taking advantage of this just yet, is of course AI generated music. Now, this one is in its infancy, and I would argue that this probably in the next 2 to 3 years is going to become mainstream. But essentially, what we have here, and I don't think people have truly grasped what we have here, is AI generated tools that can create industry level soundtracks slash music tracks that are on par with some musician. Now, I think this is incredible because we have access to a technology that a few years ago would have seemed like absolute magic, and now it's just here and there aren't that much people using it or even trying to make money from this. But if you've ever heard some of the songs made by Suno or even some of the songs made by Udio, you'll know that these songs are incredibly high quality. Now, one of the songs that you might not even know was AI generated was that song called BBL Drizzy. That song was actually generated by Udio, and I think someone took real advantage of the hype surrounding the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef at the time, and they created a catchy song that they were able to use. Now, what you can do if you make a song that is able to be trendy and it's able to get a lot of value really quickly, what you can do is you can monetize this song. One of the ways that you can monetize a song is by uploading it to Spotify, ensuring that you've copyrighted your song. And if your song manages to get streams, you can easily earn anywhere between $4,000 to $7,000 or even $10,000 per a million streams. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say that you can easily in your first week get 1 million streams on a song. Getting 1 million streams on a song, even for an established musician, is going to be pretty difficult, considering the fact that the music industry is one of the hardest industries to break into. But I think that if we now have a scenario where you can literally make a song by just entering a text prompt, I don't think that that is any kind of friction between you and the pot of gold. If I was trying to create an AI generated music label or kind of business where I made money from this, what my go-to would be is I would make sure that I make as many songs as possible, I copyright them all as possible, and they're actually good, they actually provide value, and of course, I do hop onto trends. This isn't something I'm actively pursuing right now because I'm just not that intrigued and passionate about music, but I'm sure some of you musicians out there can find easy applications where there's probably an undersupply of music. The opportunity for this is there right now, and whilst yes, some people do hate AI-generated sounds, for some applications where the application is going to be comedy, I think this can actually genuinely work. And the best thing about music is that your music streams will continue to pay you royalties for as long as they continue to be played on whatever platform they are. So this is a really long-term business that you can really get into. Now, another business that has actually been more popular, and I wouldn't advise people to get into this business too much because I think this area is quite saturated, but this is AI generated art. Now, I think once again, if you're going to enter this space here, it is something that you do need to be a little bit more specialized in the sense that whatever niche you're going into needs to be a niche that you have industry information in. For example, what we can see here is a website called Printify. So if I go on how Printify works, it's going to show you exactly what this does. So basically what Printify is this is a third party seller. So what you can do with this is you can basically pick your product. So you can see all of their products. If you go to their catalog, we can see anything and anything that they have. So for example, they've got a mug here, they've got a fleece blanket, they've got a horizontal poster, they've got phone cases. So they've got literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of products, okay? Now, previously in the past, what you used to have to do is if you wanted to sell any of these products, what you would have to do is you'd have to make a design. Now, what you can now do with AI is you can design anything on these products with AI. So you can use Midjourney, you can use Canva, you can use DALL-E 3, and you can come up with unique things. For example, if you wanted to start your own phone case company, you'd be able to come over here and you'd able to sell these as quickly as within literally 2 hours. You'd go onto Midjourney, you'd select your prompt for whatever design you'd want to use, you'd copy it, you'd paste it onto the phone, and you could get your website up within minutes. Now, the reason that this is so cool is because with Printify, they don't charge you up front. Like you don't need to buy all the stock. All you literally need to do is just get the sales in. And when a sale comes in, they print your design onto the phone case and then they ship it out to the customer and you don't actually do anything. So you can see right here the price, you can see the average production time, and you can see on which phones it does have. If I were going to do this, what I would do is I would pick something really specific. So for example, what I saw someone really do that was so amazing, I saw someone actually pick coffee, but what they did was they picked coffee and they decided to start a coffee brand. Now, starting a coffee brand is pretty hard, but what they did was they started a coffee brand for gamers. So you know how gamers are always trying to stay more awake or alert because they're playing in the hours, or sometimes they wake up early and they want to get a good gaming session is. What you could do is you could design an entire brand for gamers and you could make the designs in Midjourney or even in a DALL-E 3 and you could easily get your product off to a start. The only problem that you would have with this is your marketing, but of course you'd have to figure that out. There are many different products here that you can choose, from jewelry to car accessories and all of these different things. It's an expanding industry that you can get into, but I would say pick something really specific. And if you're not going to pick something specific, what you could actually do is you could go onto a website like Etsy.com and then you could find something that's seasonal. So for example, if Mother's Day is coming up, if Father's Day is coming up, if there's a specific event coming up, you could then figure out a design. You could get that design done in Midjourney, DALL-E 3 or whatever, and then you could get that design and put it onto a shirt and see what sells. Now, what you could also do is you could also see what kind of niches there are that sell very effectively. You could start your own Instagram page, your own YouTube channel, and you could begin selling and begin making money pretty easily. Now, I think this is the 50-50 because there's a lot of competition and people do know about this. So you're going to have to be a bit strategic on how you avoid the competition. And I think it would be best to go into an area that's quite underserved, quite niche, that doesn't really know about this stuff. That way you can become a market leader and that way you can pioneer the way in terms of how those products are sold. Now, another way that you can actually make money with AI is through AI automations. AI automations are huge. If you don't know what AI automations are, is well, basically, it's the promise of what AI was meant to be. You know how AI is meant to save us time and meant to do things for us? Well, that's exactly what some people are building. So some people are building custom solutions with AI software and things like Gmail and Slack in order to boost the efficiency of certain businesses or individuals' daily lives. If you head on over to Zapier.com, you can see that AI gives you automation superpowers. Zapier helps you put these powers to use. We make it easy for you to turn your ideas into workflows so computers can do more work for you. So what makes this so effective is that a lot of people want to save time. And if you're saving someone time, they are going to want to pay for that. Like there is a monumental amount of services that we have in our daily lives that we pay for just because they save us time. For example, we pay for food on Uber Eats because it allows us to save time from cooking in the kitchen. We pay for Prime on Amazon because it manages to save us time on our delivery. We get our items quicker. We pay for faster internet because it allows us to download things faster. And there are just a range of services that people are willing to pay for faster time. Now, this is an area that I think is going to continue to expand as the tools manage to get bigger and as they manage to get better. I think this is only going to be an area that expands because as it does so, it's going to touch more and more different industries. So for example, if you're someone in a certain industry, you might be in a strange one. Like, for example, if you were in soccer, you might be thinking, how on earth could I use AI automations to grow my business? But you could be thinking, okay, there's probably managers that have emails from contracts and stuff like that. I could find a way to, I don't know, organize the games, a way to use a new AI system with ChatGPT in order to generate post match reports. I automatically view the game via Gemini Pro, and then, of course, summarize exactly what happened in the game, what we did well, and then, of course, have automatic AI generated reports and just continually update that. There's a million different ways on how you could do this. And like I said, what you have to do is you have to be extremely creative in what you're doing. As always, my advice to you is pick something that you already know and then just go from there. Now, another area that is actually quite interesting, and funnily enough, I knew about this because I was actually getting a ton of different emails about consulting for different businesses, some of which I actually did take. Despite not actually being a consultant, I did give pretty good advice because I know a decent amount about the AI space. But consultants were one of the biggest winners from AI slash the AI boom. You can see here that the AI boom has an unlikely winner, wonky consultants. Rattled by tech's latest trend, businesses have turned to advisors at Boston's consulting group, McKinsey and KPMG, for guidance on adopting generative artificial intelligence. IBM, which has 160,000 consultants, has secured more than $1 billion in sales commitments related to generative AI for consulting work and its Watson X system, which can be used to build and maintain AI models. Accenture, which provides consulting and technology services, booked $300 million in sales last year. And about 40%, okay, 40% of McKinsey's business this year will be generative AI related. And KPMG International, which has a global advisory division, went from making no money a year ago to generative AI related work, targeting more than 650 million in business opportunities in the United States tied to the technology and over the past 6 months. This is an area that is absolutely explosive, and I think this is going to continue. Now, all of these people are mainly corporate clients, like they're going to be doing B2B, which is business to business. But what you could do is you could definitely reach out to local businesses, local business owners, and help them integrate AI into their business. One of the things that you do want to do is you want to be in the position that when GPT-5 gets here, Claude 3.5 Opus gets here, or Gemini 2 gets here, you can immediately benefit from implementing those systems into existing businesses. You don't want to wait until everyone's already figured it out. You're already watching the channel, you're already in this early innovators area, and you want to make sure that you can at least benefit from your early knowledge. Another way that you can actually make money from AI is, of course, AI education. Some of you, I'm guessing, use AI on a daily basis. Some of you, I'm guessing, use these tools all the time. In doing so, you probably do have a decent understanding and a decent grasp on how these systems can be used for various different applications. Quite like consulting, what you can do is you can teach what you know. Now, AI is something that for the uninitiated seems quite difficult. But once you get your hands on any kind of system, it manages to be self-explanatory and relatively easy. Now, there are many areas that are quite difficult. For example, if you're doing AI agents and if you're doing coding, that is a little bit more difficult than if you're just doing something like Midjourney or ChatGPT. But either way, there are a ton of different areas that are still relatively unexplored. And if you are someone who's educating people on how to use these tools, they're really going to want to understand exactly how that works. I don't have a link to it right now, but there is someone on Twitter that does a lot of Midjourney stuff. And I honestly think about buying this person's course because I use Midjourney on a day-to-day basis. And I think I know a lot about Midjourney. But every day or so, he tweets something that is just a new thing about Midjourney that I really just didn't know existed. And he's enrolled hundreds and hundreds of students, and I probably will enroll soon. But the point is that just by using Midjourney every single day, he's managed to create a thriving business out of that. And you guys can do the same, which whatever tool it is that you do decide to use. Now, I would say if you're going to create an AI education business, you don't want to use something like Midjourney or ChatGPT. Try to find a small AI tool that most people don't really know how to use, maybe like an AI SaaS or something like that, that you can use, that you can master, and that most people do really need. And then once you've mastered that tool, you can easily implement it and you can easily become the number one person in that space. Now, another way that you can actually make money with AI is affiliate marketing. Now, affiliate marketing isn't a new method to make money. It's been around for decades on the internet. However, what is new is, of course, all of these AI startups. Remember how I said there are a million different AI companies now coming out, and what they really want to know how to do is to, of course, promote their products what you could do is you could be an affiliate for these programs. So essentially, when these companies are starting out, in order to gain traction, they have people refer people to their systems. However, when you're referring them to their systems, what you can do is you can get a commission. So it's kind of like a kickback from the AI company saying, thanks for referring this customer. We're going to be paying you this much every single month. Or what they will do is they'll pay you a one-time fee. It might be $20 or $30. But what can happen is if you have a big audience, or if your tweet gets a lot of likes, or if it gets a lot of shares, you can actually get a lot of money from that. Now, I would argue that if you're going to get into this space, you might want to find something that is monthly recurring. So if you're doing your affiliate program, for example, you're giving out links and you're saying, use this software, it's the best. Firstly, make sure the software is actually good, because if it's not good, people are going to cancel their membership. And if they cancel the membership, then you're not going to get your money every single month. But I would say with that, the reason you do want to do that is because it's more sustainable. If you're managing to affiliate for a software that pays you $20 a month for every single customer, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you focus on those ones, because you can easily get you $1,000 a month and the income is a lot more consistent than one that just pays you every single time someone manages to sign up. All you'd have to do is pick one affiliate program and then figure out how the best way you can is to promote that software. You can see right here, there are many different ways, and you can see that the commission rate is 30% to 50% lifetime recurring commission. The best thing you can do is go on many different websites, watch many different videos, find one offer, and then just promote that as much as possible. Another way that you probably have partaken in is, of course, investing in the stock market. One of the ways that I've profited heavily is, of course, investing in the stock market. I've been watching stocks for quite a while, and there are so many different stocks that are going to be benefiting from the AI boom. And whilst, yes, the stock market recently took a small dip, I still think that there are some companies that haven't really priced in AI. One of the things that you could do, and this is, of course, long term, that I personally do, I personally am someone who's more risk averse when it comes to investing in the stock market, because I believe in Warren Buffett's philosophy that, it's much easier to just buy index funds and stock picking is very, very hard. So what I would do is, of course, just put the majority in index funds, but there are some outliers like Nvidia and other companies that I talk about in my post-AGI economics group that are just clear investment options because of their position in AI. I'm not saying that I'm a stock investing genius, but when you're in the AI space, you're looking at all these companies, you're speaking to some of the companies that are being started, you're looking at all the research papers, you're looking at where investment's going, you start to gauge a clear picture of where the money is going and how these companies stand to profit. And you start to get a look at what companies are going to do well and which companies aren't going to do well. And in doing so, you can place your money in the stock market and you can earn a sizable return. Now, I'm not saying that you should try and pick stocks because, like I said before, it's better just to put your money in a low cost ETF that returns 6 to 10% a year. But during this transition period from AGI to AI or whatever, I do think that there will be periods of time for completely outstandardized returns. I do think that this period will have significant returns, especially in some companies. Now, for the last one, and I'm going to put a huge disclaimer by stating that this is extremely risky. And if you ever invest in crypto and if you ever make money, sell and make sure that you put that money back into the US dollar, because crypto is extremely risky. More risky than you think. But I will say that crypto does have the ability to get huge returns, particularly a lot more than stocks. Now, this is something that I did last year. I managed to profit so heavily from crypto. The reason I was able to profit heavily from crypto was not via real technical analysis, but one thing that my AI knowledge managed to help me with was the fact that I could see what was going on in research papers, what was going on in companies. And because I knew what actually worked in AI, what companies are actually moving towards, the projects that were actually focusing on real workable solutions were the ones that I decided to invest in, because I saw their roadmaps actually aligned with what the industry wanted. What this allowed me to do was it allowed me to pick between which companies / organizations were effectively working on what the industry wanted versus those who just came in for a quick cash grab. Investing in crypto is always going to be risky, but if you know enough about the space and you manage your risk successfully, then you can invest and gain outsized returns. Now, let me know if you guys are making money with AI. If you are, and there are some that I managed to not mention, don't forget to leave a comment down below. And for those of you in the post-AGI economics community, I'm going to be leaving you with some ways that you guys want to avoid making money with AI, because there are some that have popped up that are just complete waste of time.